anybody else realize that children born in 2023 potentially live to see the year 3000?
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll see how modern women complain about dating nowadays, how many regret it when they hit the wall, having to struggle to find a husband. We want to invite you to smash that like button. Let's support the movement. Subscribe to the channel. That's the only contribution we ask of you. Man, add your grain of sand to the movement. Leave your experience in the comments for any man who needs it. And without further introduction, let's begin.
This is for all my single people, so if you are not single, just keep scrolling. Can someone tell me why in like modern dating or dating right now, we're talking on apps, talking on Instagram, you're sliding in, whatever, but no plans are being made? I don't know about you guys, but I'm not looking for a pen pal. I'm looking for a husband. So what's going on?
The crazy thing about dating is that men will never date a girl they think is ugly. When have you ever heard a man say, "Oh, I really like this girl. She has a really good personality, but she's kind of fucking ugly"? Never. So why do we do it? Trust me, I've done it. You've probably done it. When there's a guy and you're like, he's not really my type. He's not really that cute, but he has a really good personality, so I'm going to give it a try. And they end up being a piece of shit anyways. I'm sorry, but I'd rather be crying over a super fine ass man than a guy that I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll give him a chance. Stop.
She's right to cry over Chad. It's your right. But don't complain later when the man, having worked, moves on to a younger, beautiful, and fertile woman, because let's be completely honest, the idea that a woman says, "I like him, I'll give him a chance," is a complete fallacy. That man clearly brings something to the table, whether it's money, good looks, or social skills. She wouldn't choose you just because of your nice feelings. But the man knows it. He's not bothered by it. He just does the work. But what bothers the woman is that the man won't accept her if she doesn't do the work. If you're an unattractive woman, you should at least be kind to the man, contribute acts of service and good treatment, or bring money to the table, but many only get upset when Chad rejects them for not having what's required. So, men, you should also have your standards. As for the girl who can't find a way out, she should check which men she's talking to, because Chad has many lined up. There's no day to go out with you. I recommend lowering your standards if you want a husband, because you're hitting the wall, and the wall doesn't forgive.
If he wanted to, he would. Listen to me. The guy I'm with right now, I met him when I was going through my divorce. I was married for 5 years, and I literally believed I would never be loved again. I'm not worthy of being loved. I literally was a mess. And I met this guy. Okay, and he's been trying to take me out on all these dates, and I was just, no, I'm not ready. And I'm like, just text him. I was so sad, but I just had this feeling like, this guy you need in your life. And that's what I said. And so I sent him a text message, and I go, hey, I think I just need you in my life. He responds with the restaurant he's taking me to and the time he's picking me up in the day. And he picks me up, and we go on the date like that next weekend, and he lives 2 hours away. So he drove 2 hours, took me on the date, dropped me off, and drove 2 hours back home. From then on, he never missed a weekend. Every single weekend, he would come up and see me. 2 hours, drive 2 hours to me every single weekend and see me. One night, I was feeling really sad about like stuff I was going through. I was just super emotional. I was like, I need to go to Target, as we do, and I need to cry in the parking lot. I don't even need anything. I just can't be around him because I just feel, I don't know, like embarrassed. So I ended up telling him like, hey, I'm going to Target. Like, do you need anything? He's like, oh no, I'll come with you. Like, just being sweet. I'm like, oh no, it's really okay. And he's like, no, I'll come with. I go, okay. I'm like, okay. And so we go to the Target parking lot, and I'm like, my heart's beating on the way there. I'm like, I just want to cry. And we get in the parking lot. I go, I literally don't need anything. I just was coming here because I have a lot on my mind, and I just don't want to put that on you. Like, you don't deserve that. I start sobbing. This guy starts crying next to me, sobbing, and he holds my face like this, and he's like, you are worth it, and you deserve so much. And he's crying while this is happening. And he's like, I just want to be around for the day that you see your worth. And he's like, so you don't need anything in Target? Like, we keep talking. I'm like, no. And he's like, okay, I'll be right back. Goes in Target, gets me Ben and Jerry's, comes back to the car. He's like, let's go home. I go, okay. I'm like, so what's happening? Right? And then we go home, and I eat the entire carton of Ben and Jerry's while he, like, rubs my back. And I pass out. And it's just sweet because he writes me letters all the time, and I just got a letter from him that was so sweet. Like, at the end of it, it was like, P.S. I told you that you would see your worth. Just like, what?
Here, I want you to notice something. Even a married woman always has a simp lurking behind, waiting for the relationship to fail to see if he has a chance, because this type, the crybaby, is all simp. He's the typical man whom she rejected in her prime. But they don't give up. They continue like mosquitoes circling around her, waiting for their chance. I must admit, a woman coming out of a divorce is a vulnerable prey. That woman will want to do things either out of revenge or distraction, and this man is being a distraction. Right now, as she left her Chad, she feels like she needs romance. Who's better for that than a simp who always comes with his romanticism? Because I told you that you would see your worth. You know what's worse? This man becomes so romantic, thinking that if he loves her like a Disney movie, she'll be more attracted to him. What ends up happening is that he wears her out. They're dating, but at some point, she mentioned having intimacy with him, not because she genuinely wants to, but just as a distraction. The moment she gets bored or doesn't want to give him anything despite all he's doing for her, the relationship will end for the simp, because genuine interest is non-negotiable. If she didn't want you before, magically she won't want you now.
Men should always pay on the first date, and this is why.
Okay, let's hear why. Spoiler alert, it has to do with how much money they spent on making up their face.
There's about to be $2,000 on my face, so
How much? Oh dear. Now let's see why it costs almost $2,000 to put on one's face.
starting with Dior Moisturizer, $135, Dior Capture View Serum, $125, Dior Primer, $50, Armani Primer, $46, Polish Filter, $49, Chanel Liquid Highlighting Drops, $57, Dior Foundation, $57, Dior Concealer, $40, Chanel Bronzer, $60, Chanel Multi-Use Stick, $50, Chanel Blush Stick, $54, L'Oreal Highlighter, $27, Chanel Powder, $56, Dior Bronzer, $50, Dior Highlight, $50, Dior Backstage, $48, these Dior Blushes, $80 total, Dior Backstage, $52, Eyeshadow, $68, Dior Eyeliner, $35, $68, Bamboo Stone, $24, Eyeliner, $35, Eyelash Curler, $35, Dior Mascara, $33, White Sun Mascara, $35, Royal Lip Liner, $24, Charlotte Tilbury Liner, $25, Chanel Lip Duo, $48, Chanel Lip Gloss, $40, Urban Decay Setting Spray, $36. Total cost is $1,745. If you're a girl, make sure the man pays. Don't waste $2,000 on nothing.
Now that we've seen that, let's take a look at the before and the after. Now, it's just my opinion, but I actually do believe that most gentlemen would prefer how one looked before, spending almost $2,000 to apply product to one's face just in an effort to try to impress someone on a first date, no less. Because it really does speak volumes that someone would spend that amount of money just to try to impress someone. And indeed, it says that women really don't do that for themselves. They do that for men.
It's funny because it's true.
Here's an example that being pretty doesn't mean being smart. Firstly, those products last for several months. I'm sure you won't finish them on a first date. Besides, you can use cheaper products since the difference won't be noticeable. Secondly, the reality is that men prefer to see a natural face rather than seeing you with so much makeup that you look like a clown. With what you've put on, it's better to take you to a pool. Another thing is that they say they don't need male attention, but if they spend $2,000 to try to impress a man on a first date, they're mainly seeking that approval.
I'm just getting on here for all the girlies who are in their 30s. I'm 33, turning 34 next month, and I'm just fucking done dating. Like, excuse my language, but I'm done. Like, for a while there, I was on a kick for the younger guys because that was all that was hollering at me, because I must say, I think I look pretty good for being 33. So I was like, okay, I'm done with the young ones. Like, they're too immature. Like, I'm looking for something more serious in life. They're not doing it for me. Cool, whatever. I reunite with an ex that I was with when I was 22, and this was like always the one who got away from me. Mind you, he is 3 years older than me, gonna be 37 in January. This man is emotionally unavailable. So they're too immature in their 20s, and then they're possibly still emotionally unavailable in their 30s. I understand why my mom is 60 years old and still single and just said forget it, because that's what it's about to be.
The wall doesn't forgive. When they're young, they don't heed the advice to marry a good man, a man you can build with. They don't want a winner. They go out with every Chad they find. When they realize the guys they left behind are now that winner, they say they're not emotionally available. It's not just that the man moved on from you. He wants a younger woman, not a 33-year-old who didn't listen to him when she was at her best. That's why I always tell them the beauty of doing the work, that sooner or later, it will yield results. She wonders why her mother remained single at 60. Apparently, it's a family where women can't keep a husband. What I'd advise is to do the opposite of what your mother did, because your biological clock is ticking. You must hurry because you're hitting the wall, and the wall doesn't forgive. Or adapt to having a cute cat.
I don't know who needs to hear this, and please do not get mad at me for this advice because it is something that I wish someone told me many, many years ago. Choosing to move in with your significant other because you already spend all of your nights together is not a reason to move in together. Like, I'm gonna go as far as saying that it shouldn't even be on your pro list. It's just kind of irrelevant to the situation. When I was 23 and moving in with someone for the first time, so 6 years ago, that was the reason for moving in together. And it did not occur to me that that was problematic. Have the actual conversation around why you want to move in together. It should be because you want to bring your lives together and you want to start a new chapter and advance your relationship. But if it's for convenience, saving money, or because it just makes sense, then you should probably keep discussing it.
I'm going to tell you something. To every man who at some point wants to move in with a woman, put tests on that woman. Simple things like when you go out to eat, see if she ever makes the gesture of paying for something, or if she has ever invited you. See if she ever gives you gifts or is grateful for what you do for her. Also, simple things like when she's talking on the phone after work, say, I haven't eaten today, or I'm hungry, I haven't eaten anything. See if she says, come, I'll prepare something for you, or let me get you something to eat. This test is to see if the woman invests in the relationship. This man didn't do this with this woman. She's facing a reality check because she thought he would move in and do nothing. Many of these women don't even clean up after themselves at home. They don't even know how to boil water. And when you move in with them, you feel like you're moving in with a little girl who complains about everything and who only burdens you. That's why in your relationship, you should test the woman, see how she lives, if she does acts of service, how she spends her money, so you don't realize that you just threw an expense or a problem onto yourself. Learn to avoid chaos in your life.
Hell to the no, no. Hell no.
We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. What advice would you give to a man before moving in with a woman? Do you prefer to date a woman with makeup or natural? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from The Wall.